I think the chewing might give it away. I think. Oh, I am so sorry, Twitter. I've accidentally flipped you around. 1 second. Oof. And you sound good too. Really, we're all okay. We have the plague, but we're all okay. Here, there you go. I can get your face.
I have so much medication in me now.
You're too far over. There you are.
I'm like a walking pharmacy.
You are. If we cut you open, yes. And I'm having a bad lupus flare, hence the red. He's choking to death. Things are going well, guys.
Never better.
Things are going. Oh, Jesus.
Oh gosh, I'm sorry to do that to you folks.
You weren't doing that but a moment ago.
No, I was not.
Just the second we started, the choking. Sounding good, pal. Hi. Do I have to sit next to you?
Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't. Run. How's the hair dyeing going? Well, as you can see, yes, I've done step 1 of the hair dyeing, which is the bleaching bit. And then later I will finish and be a rainbow again. But for now, you have to suffer with this. Though we were at a friend's house yesterday and he said to me, I didn't know your natural hair was so light. I said, it's not. It is quite light, but it's not. It's not this.
She is.
Oh, Daddy. You must have choked on what you were eating.
Yeah.
That's what happened. Do you want to stand up for a second?
Get off.
Yeah, I'm going to get him. Sorry, guys. Breathe. Breathe. He's been getting in trouble lately because he's not very good. He eats too quickly and then chokes as he's doing right now. So my mother and I have to yell at him on occasion to not have this happen.
Yeah.
As fun as it is. Take a deep breath. Stand up. Stand yourself up. Take a deep breath. Jesus. You caught. Yeah, I heard it. Live TV, am I right?
Well,
Jesus Christ.
that's embarrassing.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
Are you all right?
Yeah, I'm all right now.
Yeah.
I did my self-Heimlich maneuver. Good grief.
Now everything's fine. Why didn't you go to BravoCon? I've never been to BravoCon. I'm intrigued by it in all of its craziness, but I've never been. And especially now with Daisy, I don't really get to do much of anything at the moment except be with her. So for the moment, I'm mostly just momming.
Thanks for your concern for me.
Yeah. Yeah,
really
thank you. Next time, chew it slowly. No,
Yes,
you're
exactly.
terrible. You
No,
do this to yourself.
I'm not smart.
You're a bad patient, and you do this to
For a person
yourself.
of reasonable intelligence, I do this dumb thing.
You do this dumb thing. My mom and I always have to yell at him because he gobbles and then he chokes. So it's a fun game. You know, it's a fun game in the family. Greater entertainment. Yeah, no kidding. I've never heard of BravoCon. So BravoCon is this new thing that the Bravo channel has done where they bring all of their what they call Bravo celebrities. Oh yeah,
not really.
They do it in New York and they do it in Las
Bravo
Vegas.
celebrities.
Bravo celebrities. Hey man,
Oh man,
those people, they are real famous and real well known, and they do very well for themselves. So
I have no bone to pick.
Yeah, no, it's just it's kind of wild to see how things have changed and how, you know, at one time being on a reality show would be not anyone's idea of a good time, but now the reality of the reality is that you can become an author. You can become a best-selling author at that, which is scary. You know, it's like
Define best-selling.
#1 New York Times.
All right, I'll accept that.
Yeah, like
I'll accept that.
No, for real. It's so scary, but
Let me tell you about my friend Dennis Fine, the late Dennis Fine, when he was working with the junior publicist at Columbia Pictures.
Yeah.
They I think they
Hi,
had
Christy.
the rights at that time to Eric Siegel's book Love Story.
Yeah.
And part of his job was every lunch hour to go to certain bookstores in Manhattan
Mm-hmm.
and buy like 5 copies
Yeah. Yeah.
to get it on the bestseller list.
Yeah.
They thought they had somehow unearthed the secret of which stores reported into the New York Times.
Interesting. Very interesting.
However, it did work out.
Yeah.
It happened.
Well, so we had for many, 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 many years, two systems. The first one was to just check a bookstore.
Yes.
And see if they carried one of my dad's books. At which point we would, if we were not together, I would call home and I would say, "It's a good bookstore."
Right.
It's a good bookstore.
Right.
Then the next step was, where were the books exactly? Were they sort of on a low shelf? Were they a bit hard to see, bit hard to find? If that is the case, what did I do then? Well, you just move them up a little bit. Not to the point of distracting or changing the layout, but just enough, or maybe they were turned and you would just turn one out.
Was spine facing out, or front cover facing
maybe
out.
You have a little of both. And every author I know to this day does this because why not?
It's a dog eat dog world out there.
But it was it really was an activity and such a big deal. And what was so much fun is traveling, being in different places and finding the books. That was really cool. And then we have some local bookstores where we take him in to sign the books. You pop in and you say, "Hey, I see you have some of my books. Do you want me to sign them?" And they always say yes. So why the heck not? Are you all right now? You breathing?
Yeah.
Hang on. I'm just going to go through and then you can talk about what you watched that you love so much. I do want to bring this up. Judy just said, "Be careful when you're eating chicken. My father had Parkinson's and used to choke." Parkinson's is part of why he chokes.
This is one of the things that's happened now.
And
I don't eat popcorn anymore.
I had no idea. There are so many things that
I don't eat peas anymore.
Yeah, there's so many things that Parkinson's affects, and one of them is this guy has to be really careful, and you have to chew your food, which again is why my mother and I have to yell at him. But I never knew. I'd never heard that was something. But yeah, when you have Parkinson's, you have to be careful. You choke really easily. Fun facts. Vice just released their new season of Icons Unearthed. This season is all about James Bond. I mean, that's about as iconic as something can get, right? It's pretty great. The reality shows I liked are Mythbusters, Extreme Home Makeover, and some of the cooking shows. My parents are attached to their HGTV. They watch.
It's like Xanax. It's
all
stress-free.
Of that stuff.
Stress-free television.
All of that stuff. They love it. Leonard.
Only late at night.
Mommy has it on all day.
Well.
They switch between HGTV and TCM. Those are the two that they go back and forth. Hi, Leonard and Jesse. Hi.
Hello.
Since Daisy is a fan of Mickey and his friends, have you introduced her to your dad's Disney treasures? No.
Little soon.
So she does really well specifically because there's lots of different shows, obviously, and lots of different Mickey Mouse shows. There's one called Mickey Mouse Clubhouse. And that seems to be the one that she likes the most because it's a lot of talk and response. So they say, how many pieces are here? Do you see this? Hey, can you help me? Stuff like that. And she really loves that. And she loves yelling out answers and what have you. Great British Baking Show is comfort television. It is. I love that show. My husband and I watch it religiously. The only problem is you can't be hungry because, oh my God, I want to eat all of it. Hi, Lynn. Lynn forgot about daylight savings time and she thought she missed us. Yes, I called my husband at work last night because he was going to be working late. And I said, just so you know, it's fall back. You're getting an hour. And he said, 1 more hour of precious sleep? I said, yes, my darling, 1 more hour. So that was exciting for all of us.
Yes, I'm very happy for him. It's been working very hard.
Yeah. Oh, Doug is saying you should know how to do the Heimlich maneuver. We do actually. I did a class a while ago. I did a class so I can do sort of those basic things. And he's learned to do what he did do himself, which is sort of a basic punch, and it does the trick. Just curious, do pre-orders mean as much as the media claims? Absolutely. Because if you think that basically it lets people know what to expect. So if you announce, whoever you are, that you have if you're George Clooney and your memoir is coming out, and as soon as it's announced and they say, okay, now it's available for pre-order on Amazon, and 100,000 people
Respond.
in
Yeah.
an hour, that tells them what they're going to be looking at, and gives them a sense. So that's always, I think.
In the olden days of stores, actually going and purchasing in stores and distribution through stores. Again, my friend Dennis Fine was in the record business.
Yeah.
Well, there used to be a record business.
Yeah.
And he talked about.
No, he's not, Christy. No, he's not. I'm just saying as an example, he should one day. He should release a memoir. People would love it, especially all the stuff about his aunt, all about Rosemary Clooney, because those stories are gold.
About albums that shipped gold and returned platinum. Because records, like books, are returnable. And I never knew if signing a book made it unreturnable or not, but because it was defaced.
Yeah. It's tricky. It's a whole different, and it was one that we were very much in.
Yeah.
And are not very much in anymore.
Yeah.
So, there's all sorts of different things. Have you read an advanced copy of My Name is Barbara? No. I've heard that isn't the book on tape like 60 hours? It's something like that. Josh Clement was telling me that the other day, because he's pre-ordered it because he can't wait. One of my good friends is very excited about this book. No, I don't know what to expect. I mean, Barbara, and if you don't, Barbara, that's her. She has a memoir coming out, Barbara Streisand.
I did not know that.
Barbara. Oh yeah. Oh, yeah.
I did not know that.
And it's 60. The book on tape is 60 hours long.
Wow.
60 hours long. P.S. If you haven't heard, Michelle Williams does the reading for Britney Spears' new memoir.
Oh my.
And she kills it.
Oh,
I was not going to, and I'm not purchasing that particular book. But people have put a bunch of clips of it up online, and hearing her read it is great. She's great.
Wow.
And I really love that she did it.
There was a comedy troupe about 10 years ago that was doing celebrity bio readings.
Yeah.
Fred Willard participated in some of those.
Oh, yeah.
They just took like a page or a particularly juicy or ridiculous excerpt from celebrity autobiographies.
I mean, this Britney Spears one, it would have no meaning to you.
Yeah.
But because of how old I am and when she became famous, it has some meaning to me.
Of course.
But hearing Michelle Williams read this whole, Justin created this music video. He knew it was there to hurt me. He put in this person, and I'm just going, tell me more, Michelle. Tell me more. It's a mess. Do you remember watching Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, starring Burl Ives and Billy Mae Richards? Of course.
I was just past the age of kidvid when the Rankin Bass stop motion animation specials came along, and so I'm kind of half a generation off.
Well, I just saw it growing up. Who doesn't love Burl Ives? Honestly, I don't think you can not love him.
No.
Are you really going to eat more right now? Is that a wise decision?
No.
That is not a wise decision.
Not a wise decision.
This is why he needs an adult. Leonard and Jesse, do you have a favorite See, you thought about eating and you started to cough.
Yeah.
Leonard and Jesse, do you have a favorite foreign language film? Mine is La Strada and City of God, two fantastic.
Well, you just named two of the best. And La Strada is made even better on the Criterion disc, where it's introduced by Martin Scorsese.
Yeah.
Who talks for about 15 minutes without a script.
He doesn't need a script.
About why he loves Fellini and particularly that film.
Two of the best, Guillermo del Toro and Martin Scorsese could talk about anything and it would be interesting. But listening to the two of them talk about film, any film is like Christmas.
It is absolutely.
They're brilliant to listen to. There's a movie that I love called Control, Kontroll, Control. That is some years old now. It's a foreign film. I love that movie.
It takes place in the underground stations of Budapest.
Yeah, it's a wild film, but it's just so good. And I've shown it to friends, and they've really liked it as well. The director Nimrod Antal has done some other stuff, but I love that movie.
He just did a thriller with Liam Neeson.
Yeah. There's another one, and I'm trying to remember what's it called. There are a couple of foreign war films. These are mostly made in the early 2000s-ish that really stuck with me. And I can't think of their names.
We were on winter break. I can't remember the year, but you can figure it out when I'm about to tell you. Yeah. When I got a call. I started teaching at USC, and they said, "We have a chance to show City of God the opening night of your new semester in January. Do you want it?" And the filmmaker's here. And I said, "Gee, a foreign language film with a class that I haven't really even warmed up or introduced to this." And then I saw the film, and I said, "Gotta show it."
Yeah.
And it was a sensation. That was when we had the football squad.
Yeah.
In the class.
They were always great.
But
they were always great.
But, and Fernando Morales came. Is that the right director? Yeah. Well, double check me.
I'm trying to look up the film. I can't remember.
Oh, okay.
What do you want me to look up?
City of God.
Yeah, you're right.
Morales came, and he was so interesting. And the saga of that film, he was a very successful commercial director. He'd won Clio Awards for his TV spots. And he wanted to make this feature film. He read this book, City of God, about the favelas, the slums of Brazil. And that he said the wealthy...
Paradise Now. Found it. I knew I wrote it down somewhere. There's a movie called Paradise Now, and there's a movie called No Man's Land.
Yep.
No Man's Land. And there's more than one with that name. But No Man's Land
both great movies. Anyway, Fernando was so savvy. First off, he had to convince the author to give him the rights to make City of God, because the author had turned down other people. But Fernando was persistent, and he had this excellent reputation. But then he decided he needed to make a low-budget film first to get the hang of directing a feature film. Who does that? He did, in order to prepare to shoot City of God. And the stories just on and on and on. There are 3 acts, essentially, to the film. The first act was shot all on tripod, camera on tripod. The second was shot handheld to show the growing turbulence in the story. And the third was higher handheld. He just a brilliant maker.
Yeah. And
has made some other good films since. But and spin-offs of City of God, there's TV series, there's other things.
Yeah. No Man's Land came out in 2001. As I say, there's more than one film with this name. And it's part of what makes it so special is that even listed as partially a comedy. To read you just the description, it's Bosnia and Herzegovina during 1993 at the time of the heaviest fighting between the two warring sides. 2 soldiers from opposing sides in the conflict, Nino and Siki, become trapped in no man's land, while a third soldier becomes a living booby trap. The fact that this movie has you laughing and crying, and that it's so well done. And they speak English because that's the universal language.
Yeah.
it's just
It's the only
such
language
a
they can speak
that everybody
to each
can
other.
speak
Yeah.
to each other. Oh, it's just a really good movie. And Paradise Now is very upsetting, but also really, really good.
Hami.
Oh, please. My brain is a sieve.
I wanted him to come to my class, but it never quite worked out. We met him in Telluride.
Yeah. Well, these are most of these films we saw in Telluride back in the day.
We saw Control.
Yep. It's where we saw all three of these in particular. Yeah. Oh, they're so good. Yeah. Hani Abu Assad.
Hani Abu Assad, yes.
Oof, that's another one. It's so good. You know, when you see a great movie and that feeling when you see a great movie.
All right. Last night, Alice and I watched Maestro, which was the opening night film at the AFI Fest.
Yeah.
And it was also, I believe it was just shown in the New York Film Festival.
Oh Lord, Craig is saying Barbara Streisand's book is 1,000 pages.
Duh. Thrilling.
Maestro.
A thrilling movie.
Now, I do wonder, as we were saying, I didn't watch it last night, but like my parents, I'm very familiar with a lot of the people of the time because of what I've been raised watching and listening to. What will interest me is like a friend of ours is seeing it Tuesday night. And I'll be really interested to hear what Gray says.
Yes.
Because she is not as familiar with the music, with the people, with the setting. So will it work even if you don't necessarily know all the players? But both of you, and that too is where my parents do agree. My parents disagree much more than we disagree by a long shot.
I grew up with Leonard Bernstein hosting the young people's concerts on television. Bernstein.
Oh, hi, Marcia, cousin Marcia. Hi, cousin Marcia.
So I know him. I feel I have a knowledge of him that doesn't come out of a book.
Yeah.
Reading about him.
Yeah. And then you were saying that, at one point, Betty Comden and Adolph Green are in the film. They're not the real people. Obviously, they've passed. But, those two characters come in. Well, we actually knew them a little bit. Not just knew them because they were legends and incredible composers, writers, lyricists. But we you guys met, and I knew them a little bit growing up. So, as I say, I'll be really interested to see like how everybody else feels.
Yeah. I mean, and I recognized, they're talking about a ballet that's going to involve three sailors, on leave
that's going to be
hours.
On the town. Yeah.
At first, it's going to be a ballet called Fancy Free, and then that's going to morph into On the Town.
Yeah. So as I say, it'll be interesting to see what everybody else kind of feels.
Yeah.
Have you seen any of these films? Priscilla, yes, they watched that. The Killer, was the David Fincher, which you just showed in class. Rustin, Grady and I were talking about that yesterday. Have you seen it yet?
Coming up.
No. Naiad, which we were also just talking. Anatomy of a Fall.
Want to see that?
Dream Scenario. Silver Dollar Road. What Happens Later in Kane Mutiny Court Martial. That's a lot of movies.
Yeah.
They watched Priscilla 2 nights ago.
Yeah. Priscilla is the first minimalist biopic.
It's Sofia Coppola. I don't like Sofia. Not as a human being. I don't like her films. I don't like them.
I like some of them.
I don't think she's anything special.
This film just did nothing for me.
No, Gray we were with our friend Gray Drake yesterday, who's a film critic, and she really hated Priscilla. She really hated it. She said it was really boring. She felt it was really boring.
This may be a true depiction.
Yeah,
of Priscilla's life with Elvis, for all we know.
But this is also where it's tricky.
Yeah, because Priscilla was an executive producer of this movie.
Well, it's her book.
And it's based on her book.
It's her book.
Which was made once before as a TV movie.
Yeah. So
20 years.
So this is Priscilla Presley and her book. So it's her version. But Lisa Marie and the Presley Enterprise did not want this made, did not like how things were being portrayed. Lisa Marie actually wrote to Sofia Coppola saying how angry she was with the depiction of her father and did not understand why she was going to do it this way. And it just sort of that's why there's none of Elvis's music in the movie. It's a bit messy. So yeah. Rustin, I've sort of been hearing mixed. Everybody agrees Coleman Domingo is fantastic, and I love him. I love Coleman Domingo. He is so talented and he is so nice, and I just want him to have everything in the world. But yes, people are sort of mixed. Naiad, you guys watched and liked.
A lot.
I tried to watch. How many of you have seen the other shore or another shore? The Diana Naiad documentary. I don't know how many of you have seen that. I love that documentary, and I have watched it a lot over the years. It's just one that I like to go back to because I think it's fascinating. Because I know the documentary so well, I found the film really boring.
Well, I found it anything but boring. And Annette Bening and Jodie Foster are so extraordinary in this film. They don't seem to be acting. I believe them. Mm-hmm. They are the characters they're playing. I believe them that completely, that thoroughly.
The Other Shore, the Diana Naiad story, The Other Shore. And that came out in 2013. So if you're like me and you know that documentary and you love that documentary, I don't know how you'll feel about the film. Because again, for me, I was just sort of like, get past all this other stuff and just get to the...
I saw the HBO 2-part Elvis documentary.
Right.
Like 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah.
And then when I saw Baz Luhrmann's film, well, I've been through all this.
Exactly. That's what's tricky is, sometimes, I mean, it's the joke, right? The boat sinks.
Yeah.
If you know what's coming, that to me is the real test of a film. If you know that it's going to sink, that someone's going to lose their arm, whatever it is, to a degree, you're sort of sitting there going, when's he going to lose his arm? When's he going to lose his arm?
Well, The Holdovers, which are now officially my favorite film of the year, until something unseats it, if possible.
Yeah.
Paul Giamatti, the film opens, he is a professor at a prep school for boys in New England.
Mm-hmm.
And he's just more than a curmudgeon. He's outright nasty, supercilious and condescending. And he enjoys berating his students. His students are unforgivably stupid.
Yeah.
but he enjoys berating them.
Yeah.
You know he's going to be humanized in some way by the end of the film. And the most obstreperous student who has to stay behind during the winter break, that he's going to somehow become more human too.
Right.
So you know that, but you don't know how. You don't know how it's going to take place. But to me, it's the journey, not the destination.
Yeah.
It's, it's how interesting that those processes turn out to be. And they are, in this case, really interesting and enlightening and heartwarming in the end run.
Frank is saying, just an FYI, Prop Store is having their annual auction in London starting Thursday. They're auctioning off a screen-matched indie shirt from Raiders and Stanley Kubrick's script from The Shining. That's neat. He's watching Lessons in Chemistry and really enjoying it. Yeah, I want to see that. There's a couple new shows I haven't had a chance to catch up with. Someone's saying the video quality is terrible on YouTube and Facebook, and it's excellent but reversed on Instagram. Now, it was better on, because I upgraded a couple of things on YouTube and Facebook, and the other day it was working. So if it's not ideal, then I have to go back into the system and see what I can fix. I swear there's always something. Did you ever meet Bruce Lee or Brandon Lee?
No.
No.
Sorry to say.
No. Man, oh man. 1 second. Sorry, I was trying to catch up with all your questions. My goodness, there's a lot. I love Paul Giamatti. He has a very interesting podcast. Who doesn't love Paul Giamatti? I mean, really. He's so
and of course,
talented.
last weekend was the finale of Billions.
Yeah.
The very satisfying finale after 7 years. I didn't watch the first few years.
I know.
So I came in.
I did
midway.
and liked that, and then stopped, and then it went too far away from me, and I didn't like it.
but
I know you and Mommy's stuck.
He's terrific in that. Everybody's terrific in that.
He's terrific in everything. He's just a he's a really solid actor. My favorite, when Sideways was happening and he was suddenly getting all this attention and they were saying, you could be nominated for an Oscar. You could be nominated for an Oscar. You know, they always ask people where they're waiting. You know, where were you when you got the call? Was your agent? Did you get a text? What happened? And he said, I was taking my kids to school. He was in his car. He was taking his kids to school. That's what he was doing. And there's just something that is so on brand for Paul Giamatti to be like, I was taking my kids to school, which is just so funny.
And if he doesn't get an Oscar nomination, you know, people don't make films to get Oscar nominations. They may fantasize, you know, about it. They may think, if this is good enough, we might. But it's not why you do something.
You say that, and I'm thinking about For Your Consideration. Immediately,
Christopher Guest, brilliant film, which he wrote with Eugene Levy, right?
Oh, that movie! Oh, that movie!
If you haven't seen that,
talk about it's too real.
It's just watch it. You know, leave us, watch it now.
But man, it's so real. It's one of those though, like it's so real that I can't imagine an actor watching it and not having like an out-of-body experience and going, oh my God. Because a part of it is about these people make a movie and then the Oscar buzz starts to happen.
Yeah, but how it happens.
Yes, but it's just the idea that you have these actors who've been working for a long time and now they're thinking that they might be able to, you know, get nominations. And so they start doing all this stuff. It's just, as I say, it's very accurate. Leonard, what's your opinion of Robert Youngson? Do you think he might have saved silent films from oblivion?
He played a part. He changed my life. When I saw the golden age of comedy, first run, New York City.
Yes, For Your Consideration, Christy. Sorry, For Your Consideration.
At the Guild Theater, which is the one behind Radio City Music Hall. It seems to have been now it's a store. It's no longer a theater. It was the theater that seemed to be either an afterthought or a mistake. Who would a movie theater right behind Radio City Music Hall? But then Radio City Music Hall was not intended to be a movie theater.
No.
It was going to be like the highest class vaudeville house in the world until Roxy Rothafel staged the opening night show that went on till 2 a.m. and
it happens.
Alienated his audience and his backers, the Rockefeller family. Then it became a movie house. They're showing his films on TCM tonight. There you go. Yes, well, they're dated in a way because they were playing in theaters to an audience that hadn't seen silent film, that wasn't familiar with Chaplin, Laurel and Hardy, Buster Keaton, Charlie Chase, Ben Turpin, all these other, you know, familiar, not just familiar, but, you know, renowned figures. So some people are not too crazy about the narration, but in its day, those films that he released, When Comedy Was King, Days of Thrills and Laughter, they had a big impact, certainly on me and on a lot of other people I know.
Well, Scott Eyman is
and then I got to meet him, which was just great.
Yeah,
to get to tell him that
the full circleness of it all. While Scott Eyman is no doubt right about Chaplin losing touch with the audience after leaving the U.S., I still think A King in New York is terrific. Countess from Hong Kong, on the other hand, is awful.
Well, Countess from Hong Kong is a film I never want to see again. King of New York, I could stand to watch again and see what I think of it now.
I read the book and I'm enjoying Lessons in Chemistry. Brie Larson is great and Lewis Pullman is wonderful. I'm so glad. As I said, there's a couple of new things that look good and interesting. It's always tough. So Scott and I have been watching Generation Gen V. Then it's the Boys spinoff that's on Amazon. And because my husband loves The Boys, he loves it. And he loved the books of it, and then he really loved the show. I don't think you guys watched any of it.
No.
It's definitely not for mommy. Definitely not. My mother would hate it. But so when they said they were doing a spinoff, he was keen.
I'm curious about the Brie Larson show, though.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I've been reading about it.
Yeah.
I'm so glad that you guys like it. And that reminds me again, I need to look it up. But he feels with this one that it's too like teenagey and like love story. And it is also gross, which is very much in with the boys because that's what they like. They like to do things that make you go, and it happens several times where things explode or what have. Yeah, right. Christy's saying, I can't even picture Miss Alice watching The Boys. Can you? I cannot. Have you watched any of the new Gen Z, whatever it's called? Because there's a scene in it. It's again one of those where you go, well, once you see this, you can never forget, no matter how hard you try. It is I will not describe it in detail because sitting next to my dad, but the short.
Oh, I didn't talk about the killer.
Oh,
you finish
the short description is there is a character. So all these people have superpowers. There's a character who can shrink and get herself very small, and a gentleman is turned on by this and wants to have sex with her while she's tiny. It's a lot. It's a lot. And I wasn't prepared. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Christy's saying the same. Yeah, you will never forget them till you die, even if you hope. Yes, The Killer at class.
The Killer. I had the cinematographer, Eric Messerschmidt, as my guest the other night. And we watched The Killer, David Fincher's new movie. And I knew it was going to be cold.
Yeah.
I just knew, from a graphic novel. Fincher's movies tend to be cold, though Benjamin Button is not.
No.
So.
Well, he's kind of cold.
Yeah.
Fincher's kind of cold.
Anyway, and it's about a contract killer. So what the hell? So Michael Fassbender's playing this contract killer. So you travel around the globe as he carries out these hits. And that's what happens. But Eric was a great guest.
Yes. Did the kids seem to like it?
I couldn't tell.
Okay.
I couldn't tell.
Out. We'll find out.
Eric was a great guest. He was the first cinematographer we've had this semester.
Oh, that's good.
So
that's
we
nice.
talked about I started up by asking him definitions.
Right.
What's a grip? What's a gaffer?
Yeah.
He started as a grip, a utility guy on a set. He just wanted to be on a movie set. That's what his ambition was. And he got to do that and then got good at that. And somebody took note of that and promoted him and it got to be a gaffer. A gaffer is like the right-hand man of the right-hand person of the cinematographer. And he was that. He had two mentors who used him a lot. And he lit a great number of films and TV episodes and music videos and all of that. I said, well, what was your first credit as cinematographer, director of photography? Mank. That recent. And that was Fincher's last film.
Yeah.
And it was in black and white. And and he won the Oscar.
Yeah.
His first film as cinematographer, and he won the Academy Award.
Can you imagine? Yeah, it's wild, isn't it? It really is. See, have either of you seen Messiah of Evil from 1973, which was just released on Blu-ray from Radiance? I'm not familiar with it. Are you?
No, I'm not.
Yes, never warm and fuzzy. No, I had a truly surreal experience. The Santa Barbara Film Festival is always, I'd say we've had some of our, you can't say most unique.
Unusual.
You cannot modify unique. It is unique or it is not unique. Unusual, unique experiences. This is where I was standing in the parking lot with my husband because the green room's always really, really warm. The theater that they use for the events that my dad's a part of is the Arlington, Santa Barbara. Big, beautiful theater. Very small green room that gets very hot very easily. And so if you step out of the green room and you just sort of walk down this short corridor, you're in the back. And we usually just go there to get out of the way. And also it's hot. We're standing there, and Denzel Washington walks over because he was also warm and did not like the chaos of the green room. And I'm sitting talking to my husband, and I was just like, he's coming this way. Denzel Washington is coming. Oh my God, he's coming. Oh my God, he's going to come outside with us. And then he just started talking to us, which was not normal in any way, shape, or form. He could not have been nicer. He could not have been nicer or friendlier or funnier, but it was insane to have him towards me. David Fincher came to Santa Barbara, I guess it's 2 years ago now,
for Brad Pitt,
when Brad Pitt received the Maltin Modern Master. And I was alone in the green room with Brad Pitt and David Fincher, and neither acknowledged my existence. They weren't unpleasant. I think they thought I was a publicist or something, and I was just the only person sitting there. And I watched the two of them have this conversation and mind you, we were in a space, like I'm here, Brad is like where you are, and David's like just past my dad's. So we were within a foot-ish of each other. They did not look at me, did not speak to me. Again, Brad, super, super nice. Very, very nice, very friendly. I think he is one of those people that has blinders on. And by that, I mean, when you're that famous, you kind of have to.
You can't make eye contact with people
because everybody wants to talk to you. And I think David Fincher is just kind of cold. But I finally, at one point, just leaned and I went, hi guys, I'm Leonard's daughter, Jessie. Hi, just wanted to. And I just sat back in my little sofa and stared at the weirdness of being in a room alone with just me, David Fincher, and Brad Pitt.
And there you are.
Not what happens every Tuesday, is
Somebody just asked about Phyllis Coates, who died last week.
Did you ever meet the woman who originally played Lois Lane?
Yes, I did. And I had a crush on her, too.
Of course you did.
And it was nice to meet her. She couldn't have been nicer. And she's also leading lady in I Was a Teenage Frankenstein.
I love that. Oh, we have a birthday. Catherine is saying it's my son Hugo's second birthday tomorrow. He's been a long time listener and watcher. Can he get a birthday shout out? Of course he can.
Hugo,
I'm sorry I look like a mess on your almost birthday. Happy birthday, Hugo. My daughter Daisy just turned 2 October 26th. It's a good. I mean, she partied too hard. I'll tell you. She passed out by the end of the night. I hope you have so much fun. Happy, happy, happy birthday. Someone asked if my face hurts. Yes. Whenever I have flares, so I don't have makeup on. Whenever I get really bad lupus flares, it just kind of feels like your skin's on fire. So I just kind of have to leave it alone and put ice packs on it until it decides to play nice. But yeah, happy birthday, Hugo. How exciting. Is there a better Thanksgiving film than Planes, Trains, and Automobiles?
Probably not.
I don't know.
Probably not.
No, there haven't been that many Thanksgiving
Jodie
movies,
Foster directed a really I'm deliberately blanking the title.
Sometimes you have to let certain things go because otherwise you remember, and no one needs that. Annette Bening, like Glenn Close, is always a bridesmaid and never a bride when it comes to Oscars. As great as she is this year, I'm going to predict that Lily Gladstone will take Best Actress. Well, entirely possible.
Entirely possible.
At least people think that I haven't seen the movie. People feel that Lily Gladstone is just fantastic.
She is.
So at the very least, if she wins, it's not like, oh, really? It's like, oh, all right. I am fascinated always by fame and how it works. Oh, okay, we will call back your doctor later. Hello? Hello? Welcome home. My husband's home from work. Hi.
Hi.
I love you. Yes, thank you, honey. There were no bananas, by the way.
Oh.
Target was out of the banana truck, and I quote, "The banana truck comes tonight."
Okay.
And that's what I know now. Annette Bening, as I say, this is why careers are fascinating and how fame works. Annette Bening, I think we can safely say, is one of the greatest actresses. Yeah?
Yes, she is.
I don't think that's a stretch.
Consistently.
I don't think that's a stretch. And, she's worked for a long time. She takes on roles that are not necessarily, I mean, in Naya, she's not beautiful. She's not playing a beautiful, it's a tough, she's amazing. She really is. In past, however many years, she's no longer famous the way she was famous. And I just wonder how that
doing
works.
Great work.
Of course she does.
The kids are all right, I mean,
yeah.
Julianne Moore got all the attention, I think.
No, but she's in it. But I think about that and how strange it is. Husband just snuck in the back there, in the brightest tie-dye shirt ever. Do you like the mug? I got you a new mug from Target.
Oh, I haven't looked.
You'll see it. It'll make you laugh. So he's been working a lot and I haven't seen him. So that's the most I think I've seen him in like 4 days. Fame is funny because you're hot and then you're not. And it's the same thing thinking about her husband, Warren Beatty, right? He's pretty friggin' famous. But do young people know who he is? And this is where I ask questions.
Yeah.
Do young people know who Annette Bening is these days? They should. She's a phenomenally talented actress, but I don't know. And so they say that's kind of, it's what I always think about. How does that work? And how does that feel? Oh no, she's very attractive. I was saying she is attractive. No, she's beautiful. That's what I mean. She's a beautiful woman who carries herself with such grace. And she doesn't mind playing characters that are not that.
Yeah.
She has no problem playing a character that is not beautiful. And yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Annette Bening is married to Warren Beatty for God knows how many years. A long time. They have 4 kids.
Their children grown.
They have 4 kids. Well, not that grown yet.
Oh.
I think we still have some that are teenagers. I'm not sure. They went to my school. Annette Bening and Warren Beatty's kids went to my school. They're younger than me.
And it was very kind to Jessie.
And that was always nice at school. She was the mom that showed up in overalls and a baseball cap and like just did mom things. As I say, she's quite a bit, her kids are younger than me, but
and she likes meeting students, and she came to my class with American Beauty,
which obviously people still are obsessed with.
Yeah.
But yeah, as I say, I just can't imagine what that's like to have certain levels of fame and then not have certain levels of fame. How do you deal with that? Just as a human being, how do you deal with that? On the one hand, it must be nice that you're necessarily tracked by paparazzi anymore. You don't have a photo of you walking out of the supermarket going, stars, they're like us. But is it also a bit of a shock to the system? If you're used to being recognized and then you are not recognized. As I say, I just always wonder what that is like for someone, You've got something you want to share.
Oh, just some odds and ends. This has been years and years in the making. Animation nerds out there will know that having a completely restored set of Flip the Frog cartoons by Ub Iwerks is a headline news item. Complete series. The guys who worked on this, Steve Stanchfield at Thunderbean Video and David Gerstein, the detail, the effort, I can't even find words to describe what they did. And Criterion, which keeps going strong, has done a Todd Browning set headlined by Freaks, and also the Lon Chaney restored film The Unknown with Joan Crawford, and The Mystic, a silent I don't think I've seen, that I'm looking forward to. And there's a great essay in here too, in the booklet, and it's great packaging. I really like this packaging, the graphics. They're neat. I interviewed one of the actors in Freaks. I interviewed Angelo Rossito, the dwarf.
How long ago?
When?
Not dwarf anymore.
Well, that's what he referred to himself as.
Okay.
So I'm just passing it along.
Can't say that anymore.
I interviewed him when he appeared in Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome. There was doing Master Blaster. He was the little guy who sat on the shoulders of the big guy.
Mm-hmm.
I think he was Master and the other guy was Blaster. If I got it wrong, I'm sorry. But I interviewed Angelo in his apartment and even took a picture. I can't find the pictures. Driving me crazy. He worked at a newsstand that's still in business on Cahuenga Boulevard, just off Hollywood Boulevard. And it was
one of the only newsstands that still exists.
That's right. Around the corner from what was the Warner Brothers Theater, which has been a Pacific theater that's been closed now for a long time. USC owned it at one point. John Barrymore was a regular customer. And when Barrymore made The Beloved Rogue, 1927, a film about Francois Villon, he hired Angelo to appear in the film. And that was his debut. He kept the job at the newsstand, but he appeared in films sporadically for decades to come. He worked with Bela Lugosi several times. He had some good stories. And he was not a huge fan of freaks because he felt they were being exploited.
Yeah, well, they were.
And they were.
They were.
But I ought to publish that interview.
Yeah, you oughta.
I ought to put it online.
Yeah, you oughta.
Especially now.
Yeah, you oughta. So we asked you guys what's the best thing you watched recently. And Winter says, just watch the last 3 Invisible Man movies in the Universal 30s, 40s run. Thinking of embarking on James Dean, as I've never seen any of his movies.
Well, it won't take you long.
Yeah, right. Which is the best to start with? And has his death overinflated these movies' worth? That's an excellent question.
Yes, it is. I think you should watch them in the order in which they were made.
There you go.
Well, that's not really true because Giant sat in post-production for a year.
Oh, yeah. Well, go in the made order, the making of order.
I would watch East of Eden and then Rebel Without a Cause and then Giant.
Yeah.
Giant last.
I think that obviously he's been romanticized. Which is
he was special.
No, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, he was beautiful. But I think that part of all of that is that he was beautiful and really good. And so to have someone who was beautiful and really talented and had so much the world at his feet to die the way he did, just sort of creates, an air of something. And effortlessly cool, all of that. So, to some degree, there's always going to be a bit of, it also, and this is something I forget which of our friends said this first, but it's something like, when someone dies, they stay that way. So Marilyn Monroe,
like an amber.
Marilyn Monroe never got old.
Yeah.
She never got old. James Dean never got old. And so there's something about that and the fact that they will always be this beautiful thing, as you say, preserved in amber. That has an effect too. Happy Sunday, Maltons. The best movie I've seen recently is 1937's The Prisoner of Zenda.
Well, that's a perfect movie.
Mr. Maltin is a very big fan of that film.
Is a perfect movie in every way. And it was directed by Don Cromwell, who doesn't get any credit. Shot by James Wong Howe. The cast could not be improved. It's wonderful. I watched it not long ago with Molly.
Yeah. They're asking, are there any other great movies with Ronald Colman you would recommend? Well, Jason, my mother, we'll call her Alice because that's her name, is obsessed with Ronald Colman. My mother loves Ronald Colman.
Random Harvest.
You think?
Yeah, for sure.
Do you know what Mommy's favorite Ronald Colman film is?
No, I don't.
I'm going to ask her. And then Matthew says he watched 12 Angry Men yesterday, so it's hard to do better than that.
Yes, it is.
That's the certain movies are special and well-known because of what they are.
Yeah.
You can't help it. Yes, A Tale of Two Cities, sure. Let's see if she's got my mom's got Daisy. I'm trying to call her and ask her what her favorite Ronald Colman film is, but she may be too busy stopping my child from burning something down, which is fair. It's fair. Somebody else just mentioned that it's Tilda Swinton's birthday. And do you have a favorite performance of hers?
She's always good.
I think that she is one of those people who can do whatever it is you ask her to do.
Yeah.
And I'll watch her do anything. I don't think I have a favorite. I just like watching her. I think she's so interesting to watch.
She's in The Killer.
Yeah.
And she's one long scene. And of course, she's good.
She's just really talented. Yeah. And she loves Charlie Chaplin and Laurel and Hardy. Yep. And in Scotland, she's been very active.
She like a moving cinema, itinerant movie show.
Yeah, so she has a great deal of respect from us because of that. I know you aren't a great fan of her, but do you have any opinion of Italian horror maestro Dario Argento?
I haven't seen enough of his work.
Are there any that you like?
I think I saw The Bird with the Crystal Plumage and the early stuff, but I can't speak intelligently about Dario Argento.
Sorry, Daddy. Jerry's asking if you remember who your first celebrity interview was.
Oh, yes. Eddie Bracken, star of two Preston Sturges comedies, Hail the Conquering Hero and The Miracle of Morgan's Creek. That's his bid for immortality. He turns up in Home Alone 2 as the toy salesman at his apartment store. And he's in one of the John Hughes movies, too. I can't remember which one. I waited at the stage door. He had just... I went to a matinee show on Broadway. Went to a matinee performance of The Odd Couple. Neil Simon's The Odd Couple. Art Carney and Walter Matthau had left. They were replaced by Pat Hingle and Eddie Bracken. And I waited at the stage door, and this crusty stage doorman said, "Ah." And I said, well, I want to try to get an interview with Mr. Bracken. And I gave him a copy of Film Fan Monthly, which I'd only been publishing for a short time. And after a while, he came back and said, Mr. Bracken says, if you come to the Saturday matinee, when the performance is over, he'll be happy to see you. So I did what little homework I could. But, in those days before the internet, it was hard to do research. And of course, I couldn't see very many films. They were not accessible. There was no IMDb. There was no nothing. There was local television. And there were friends who collected 16mm prints. And that was about it. But he couldn't have been nicer. But he had a habit of
embellishing.
Which even then I was aware of.
Yeah.
He said he created Francis the Talking Mule. There's no record anywhere.
That he did.
Anyway.
But in fairness, there was no internet, so nobody could argue.
That's right.
If he said it, he's right.
Yep.
Have you heard about the original 10 Commandments set that's still buried in the California desert?
Oh, yes.
There's all kinds of stuff.
There's a documentary about that.
Yeah, there's hidden stuff all over. There's all kinds of set things people find. Was that the one in the water? No. What's the one that's near, what's it called? It's not far from San Luis Obispo, where when the tide goes out, you can see part of the set.
Really?
You know what I'm talking about?
No, I don't.
Oh, it's like Pismo Beach. It's around Pismo Beach.
Well, I think that's
there's some set that's comes out of the water. Yeah.
Right. A little bit of collectible time, just a little bit. This is such a big area of collecting. We'll have to do it over several
Brad
weeks.
Decter's saying Pismo.
Yeah.
That's right, Pismo Beach.
Okay.
Hi, Brad Decter.
This is the package, the envelope that McKesson's Milk of Magnesia offered in 1931, I believe. And in it was an 80-piece jigsaw puzzle of Our Gang. And you can see Stymie with his derby there, and very, very young Spanky with his tam o' shanter cap, and Pete the pup.
Oh, when I was a kid and they made that very cute Little Rascals movie. I think they did a good job with that.
Did.
I thought that was very sweet. You got to interview Pete. And
I have a photo.
He came home with this photo of Pete and my dad. And as a kid, that was pretty damn cool. I was like, you met Pete the Pup? Very exciting.
Esquire magazine did a series of George Hurrell photo jigsaw puzzles. No fooling.
No fooling.
And here is an example of one. That's the envelope that came. This is very glamorous Susan Hayward in vivid color.
I really hope that it was given to kids and that they had to figure out which puzzle pieces were her boobs. That's all I can hope, is that some small child was like, what?
What does it say on the envelope here?
Missing one gorgeous, gladsome, glamorous girl. Last seen in a beautiful, breathtaking Esquire photograph by George Hurrell. Answers to the name Susan Hayward. Her baffling disappearance can be solved if you open the flap and fit together the pieces of this daring, dramatic, colorful jigsaw puzzle.
Great. Jigsaw puzzles were a fad in the 1930s, in the early 30s. I didn't know that. They existed before that, but they became a real fad. And that's why Laurel and Hardy made a short, very funny comedy show called Me and My Pal, where Ollie's getting married and Stanton is his best man. But they start working a jigsaw puzzle on the table. And one by one, all the members
Everybody
of the wedding
starts coming
party
in to
starts
help.
coming in,
It's very
and they
funny.
can't help but kibitz.
Doug says you guys should get a high-grade storage locker so you can get more stuff. No, we shouldn't. Also, but see, the other problem is it's one thing to collect, but if you can't look at it, it's no fun.
Yeah.
You know, having it stacked somewhere is no fun.
It's a nice,
you know,
Gary Cooper jigsaw puzzle.
Dude Guy, now that's a name. Mr. Maltin, you were a household name in our house growing up. We didn't usually agree with your opinions on horror movies, but always loved reading your books.
Thank you. Thank you for that. And here's an interesting, just for a series, movie cut-ups.
I think we've shown some of these before because I remember how hard it was to try and show the pieces.
Weekly. These were released on a weekly basis, 1932-33. And the first one that I got gave me the first case of collector's dilemma, serious collector's dilemma. It was still sealed. It still had, this is open, this box. It was sealed. Well, if I opened it to look at the puzzle, it wouldn't be mint in anymore.
Yeah.
What could I do? And then fate smiled, and I found a second box that had already been opened. And that's when I found out that they did using the scenes for these things. This is Sylvia Sidney and Mountain Butterfly. I haven't put any of these together in a while, but every one that I've
none of them are particularly fantastic. No.
Wheeler and Woolsey. So this is Africa. Terrible. Jones and White Eagle. Terrible.
I love that in asking you guys what's the best thing you've seen. It's all classic film. The Adventures of Robin Hood, 1938. Rabbit Hood, 1949. Detective Story from 1951. I saw 6 movies last week, all at a theater. Good for you, Dale. 1 I loved, 2 I really liked, 2 were not bad, and 1 I left early to see another movie because it wasn't bad, but just felt flat. Well, there you go. I saw 2 Mules for Sister Sarah. Not a masterpiece, but really entertaining. Best thing I watched recently was The Big Heat, 1953. Have you read Karina Longworth's book on Howard Hughes?
I have not.
The best thing I've seen recently is The Above Gift from a Charlie Brown Christmas. Yes. That's never a bad time, is there, guys? Best thing Jim saw is The Holdovers. He loved it.
Can't do better.
No. And then saying he loves listening to the podcast on Sundays. His question is, aside from the Walt Disney Treasures DVD sets, are there any other ways to see other episodes of the old Mickey Mouse Club or some of the adventure series like the Swamp Fox or El Fego Baca?
I don't believe so.
El Fego Baca.
Maybe someday somebody at what is it called? Disney Plus.
Yeah.
Maybe someday somebody at Disney Plus will wake up to the idea reviving all that material.
Wouldn't that make sense?
They own it. They own it. It was entertaining then. Most of it is still entertaining today. It should be available, should be seen.
Don't get me started because it makes me mad. They don't know what they're doing.
I met a guy in New York years ago. He used to manage the Carnegie Deli. R.I.P. for the Carnegie Deli. And he gave me a great trivia question. He said, name all 12 angry men.
We've done this game before.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Whoa. And the Henry Fonda, Lee J. Cobb, easy, Martin Balsam, Jack Klugman, every character on Earth. And the ringer is a guy named Joseph Sweeney. He's the least known person. David Opatoshu. I mean, all the other people in that cast were either on the verge of being famous, like E.T. Marshall, or already, well established. Joseph Sweeney is key to getting all 12 angry men.
And Ryan's saying, is there a reason why there was only 3 episodes of El Fego Baca and the Swamp Fox on the Walt Disney Treasures set instead of having all the episodes?
No. We wanted to give a sampling.
There you go.
They weren't prepared to do the entire. They were 1-hour shows.
Yeah. Well, that is the answer. Is that they weren't ready.
Yeah.
It's just that it's a lot of work.
Yeah.
Again, all it takes is the right person caring about something.
Yep.
That at the end of the day, that's really what it is.
Mm-hmm.
When the right person cares about something, then something is done.
The right people cared as a frog,
and
so what got done.
And thusly, here we are. But yeah, it's really tricky, I think. And unfortunately, as we know, Disney does not celebrate certain aspects of their history the way they should by putting things on Disney Plus. That would make sense, but what are we going to do?
But I got to do 37 volumes.
Yeah, not too shabby.
Over 9 years' time of the Walt Disney Treasures.
Yep.
And then I got to host them on Turner Classic Movies as well.
Yeah.
So I really have no cause for complaint.
No, and that's the thing. It's not a complaining. It's more just a frustration to me. Because as I say, you have them. Why wouldn't? And people want them. I hate the word content, but it's one of those. It's like, if you're always so desperate for content, just can't look at what you have. Look at everything that's at your fingertips. Our new episode of the podcast that went up Friday is with Dean Elizabeth Daly, who is the dean of the film school at USC. She's been my dad's boss for 25 years.
She's been there 30 years.
She's really interesting. And imagine being the person who has to call Steven Spielberg and George Lucas to go, could I have another 10 million? The lady has guts. Next week, we will be posting on Friday. We'll go up the Tony Anselmo episode. Tony Anselmo is the voice of Donald Duck, but also an animator.
Yep.
And really interesting stories, and so much fun to sit with him. Something I enjoy most about doing our podcast when we do sit with people that we've known is it's not often that you have those kind of in-depth conversations with friends, where you want to say, yeah, actually, tell me about this. Certainly for me, the people I grew up with, I didn't often ask questions. Now I'm better about it because now I've realized that, how cool it is to be able to ask them these things. But, him telling his stories and being one of the people that really is attempting to carry the torch as best as possible in the name of the people that trained him. It's a lot. I think it's a lot when you knew the greats.
Yeah. And
feel like it's partially your responsibility to live up to what they left you with.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's got to be really hard. But yeah, it's yeah. So he stayed for a while after you left. We were just talking. We got to do it in person. He just came over to the house, and it was so nice to talk to him afterwards, though. But he was just telling about different changes that have been so hard.
Oh, it's tough. That's tough.
And it's little things, as he says in the episode. But because there's so many new people, they don't know that there are certain words Donald Duck can't say. And I don't mean can't as in shouldn't. I mean like with that voice, you just can't say certain things. And so he said he now has to go back to them and say, Donald can't pronounce this letter. Donald can't do this. So yeah, little things like that. Anyway, just really, really interesting. My parents are away next weekend. They will
at the Coronado Island Film Festival.
At the Coronado Island Film Festival.
Which I helped launch.
So we will not be on next week. Daisy and I are throwing a kegger if anyone wants an invite. Finally get the house to our, my husband's going away. My parents are going away. Daisy and I are just going to rage. We're going to rage. Everybody take good care of yourselves. We will see you in 2 weeks. And like that.
Be kind.
Be kind. Take care, everyone.